I'm Dr. Anusha Sharma from Narayana Health City to raise the awareness on sleep as a human privilege and to know the complications of modern life that has affected the sleep. Today, the theme of the World Sleep Day is regular sleep for a healthy future. We have with us experts to enlighten the importance of sleep and health. We have Dr. M.R.K. Ravichandra sir. He is a consultant physician and certified sleep specialist working at Narayana Health City. And we have Dr. Anil Sapare sir, who is a senior consultant pediatric pulmonologist and who has specialized in pediatric sleep disorders. Can you highlight some important sleep disorders in adults?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Anusha, for that introduction, and particularly that introduction to World Sleep Day. It's a day that has been introduced in order to increase awareness of sleep and the health problems that arise as a result of disturbances in sleep. So we often encounter a lot of problems, particularly which are due to a disturbance in sleep or directly relating to sleep itself, which are very often have been ignored or continue to be ignored. Some of the most common problems of sleep that we encounter are insomnia, the inability to fall asleep or the inability to remain asleep at night. Very often this complaint is undermined. Many people think that insomnia is psychological. What is important to understand is that in many cases, insomnia may be a marker of an underlying psychological stressful state, something like either depression or anxiety. Also, it's very important to understand that insomnia could be the result of a lot of metabolic and biochemical changes in the human body. The next most common problem that we encounter, that we try to raise awareness of, which is ignored quite often, are the breathing problems which arise during the sleep states. These are known as sleep-related breathing disorders. Very often there is a misconception in our cultures that somebody who snores in sleep is very sound asleep and they're sleeping extremely well. This is now recognized universally to be wrong. Snoring is the result of very turbulent airflow that occurs in our windpipes. And therefore, this is a marker that airflow to the lungs is getting obstructed and impending obstruction. In other words, the breathing is about to stop. The longer this breathing stops, the more serious the problems that we encounter. And the other extremely important problem which results from disturbances of sleep is excessive sleepiness during the daytime. We often encounter people who sometimes would like to admit that they have a little afternoon siesta or who visibly doze off or nod off to sleep. When this increases, both in terms of frequency and the quantum, this can become dangerous. We often encounter people who fall asleep while they are driving, who nod off while they are driving. There is a statistic which supports that almost 60 to 70% of road traffic accidents happen as a result of excessive daytime sleepiness or excessive somnolence, which results from sleep disordered breathing. Therefore, we would like to increase the awareness among people that these are not conditions to be taken lightly. We want people to be aware of them. We want people to pay attention to these because these can have massive implications on health and general well-being for adults and, as Sir will enlighten us, particularly in children.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Anil sir, can you please highlight some important sleep-related disorders in children that we encounter?
Yeah, thank you. As our colleague Dr. Ravi mentioned, the sleep disorders in adults. Similarly, there are lots of sleep disorders that do happen in children too, and they have significant implication both in the development of the child, in the schooling, as well as their day-to-day activities. Coming to the sleep-related problems, they can be classified into those sleep-related problems that are causing difficulty in breathing and other group of disorder. I'll classify into two groups. So sleep-related breathing disorders and the other miscellaneous. Amongst the other sleep-related problems, as Dr. Ravi mentioned, insomnia is very common, which is extremely common in the current scenario of pandemic, where the day and nighttime sleep patterns have changed hugely, and use of mobile, TV screen, all those things have made a change, a huge shift in the sleeping pattern that is leading to insomnia, late sleeping, late waking up, and occasionally associated with disorders or problems like nightmares, night terrors, somnambulism, which is actually sleepwalking. These are all sleep related disorders we do see in day to day practice. And first thing that I did mention about was sleep related breathing disorder. Coming to this particular entity, in children, unlike adults, it is really relatively common. There are commonly characterized by following cluster of symptoms. These children have either loud snoring that starts soon after the child goes to bed. It can even happen when the child is sleeping during the daytime. The snoring is associated with block in the nose, mouth breathing, difficulty in breathing, and the parents do note that, sir, when the child is sleeping in the other room, I can hear the snoring sound. And when I go nearer to the child is actually having a peculiar posture which is characterized by extension of the head, and child is trying to sleep in this posture. And that actually is the effort by the child to keep this airway open so that the obstructed breathing can be relieved. In addition, these children also have sweating. They are tossing in the bed, which means they are frequently changing their position in the bed, and and at times, if this sleep disordered breathing is very severe, as Dr. Ravi mentioned, it can be associated with pauses in the breathing, which means sleep apnea, that is temporary cessation of the breathing while you are breathing. That is, in other words, they snore, and following that they do pause. They appear as if they have stopped breathing for maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds, and soon they try to wake up with arousal, what we call making some gurgly sound, and they change the position. And these symptoms of snoring, loud breathing continues for significant amount of the time. Now you may wonder, is it abnormal? Yes, it is abnormal. This should be taken very seriously, and we will talk about what its implications as we go along. But this is what we call sleep disorder breathing, or if it is a severe form, we also call this as OSA, which stands for obstructive sleep apnea in children. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, having known that both adults and children can suffer sleep-related disorders, so let's ask Dr. Ravi, sir. So, how do these problems affect the general health, and how can we diagnose it at the earliest?
Yes, it's very important. The question that you asked is extremely important. We need to know, very often people ignore these problems because they seem to think that this doesn't have an implication on my health. I'm snoring, so what? So and so is snoring, so what? What we need to understand is that sleep is very structured. When we sleep during the night, we don't just sleep and wake up. The sleep is divided into several stages. And during these several stages of sleep, our brain and our general bodily functions have a set schedule of maintenance which goes on, you can call it. So if any of these sleep stages are disturbed, then you can easily expect that this normal regulation of bodily functions, and particularly the brain functions, will be very badly affected. And these functions are very essential for our day-to-day life. So, to very broadly classify sleep, we have what is called a non-REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movements. And we also have something called REM sleep. So, very often when the sleep disordered breathing begins and when an individual starts having an obstructive sleep apnea, they usually have this during the REM sleep. So, the quantum of the REM sleep starts reducing, and the REM sleep has a very important function. It helps all the muscles relax. It helps wash out all the excessive catecholamines and all the excessive neurotransmitters which accumulate in the brain and resets the brain function for a fresh day. Now imagine if the entire REM component of the sleep was to be eliminated. The next day, when someone would wake up, they wouldn't feel fresh. That's the first thing they will tell you, I'm not feeling fresh. And more importantly, when the breathing stops during sleeping, what you have to understand is our oxygen requirement remains the same. Therefore, the heart now has to function more. There is more strain on the heart to pump that much required amount of oxygen to all the metabolizing tissues of the body. So slowly and sequentially, the strain on the heart starts to increase. Oxygen is very important for all the metabolizing tissues of the body. Therefore, metabolism starts getting affected. Different organs and different systems now, which are deprived of oxygen, start finding new ways of metabolizing their regular day-to-day work, which starts imposing a lot of stress on these tissues. Therefore, new metabolic problems develop. These people now get predisposed to develop diabetes. They get predisposed to develop heart problems. They are predisposed to develop strokes, circulatory problems. Therefore, what we originally used to think that we don't know how or why somebody develops a heart problem or a stroke. Now we are increasingly beginning to recognize that individuals whose sleep have been compromised for years together now are at a higher risk. And therefore, we are now telling these individuals that pay attention to your sleep. If your sleep is good, you will not have these problems. So how do we catch these problems early? The first and the foremost thing is we begin with a history. Do you have a sleep problem? Are you snoring? Is your partner snoring? Snoring is something that we very often don't realize by ourselves. The partner realizes it. Is your partner snoring? Is your bed partner snoring? And how bad is the snoring? When so-and-so is sleeping at night, do you observe the snoring stops and there is no breathing movement at all? And we have to be very careful because very often the partners can be vexed with snoring. And therefore, what happens is when the snoring stops, they tend to feel a little relieved. Thank God the snoring has stopped. Now I can sleep. When in reality, it's a very alarming situation because at that time, that person is not breathing, which can be dangerous. This history leads us to a point where we say, okay, we need to measure this person's sleep. We have to measure the various functions of sleep. How are they breathing in sleep? How is the oxygen in sleep? How is the heart function in sleep? How are the muscle functions in sleep? How are the eye movements in sleep? Because we are measuring so many things in sleep, and in Greeks, somnos is sleep, graphos is measurement, and multiple things we are measuring, and therefore we call it polysomnography or a sleep study in simple terms. We put this person to sleep and we measure all these parameters and see where things are going wrong and where we can improve. So the starting point very often is a sleep study, and again, depending from problem to problem. For example, if we think somebody has got insomnia, we give them a very simple sleep diary. We tell them, why don't you just fill up this diary every day and come back to me after 3 weeks? Let me see the pattern of your sleep. That can give us so many clues as to what problems they may have. So that is in brief about what effects sleep problems can have on general health and how to start measuring these problems so that we can intervene with a suitable form or type of treatment to improve these problems and prevent more serious health problems for the future.
Thank you. So I'm sure it must be even more difficult to explain because kids themselves cannot come up with the complaints. So how are these how are the sleep disordered problems have an impact on the general health, behavioral changes in kids or on their growth?
Yeah, as Dr. Ravi very clearly mentioned, this sleep-related breathing disorder and also sleep-related disorders have a significant impact on these children. In the sleep per se, they have a lack of sleep, they have disturbed sleep, they are frequently waking up, and that has got a lot of ramification. During the daytime, these children are either less fresh, less active, or more common compared to adults. They are actually hyperactive. We call this an inattention or hyperactivity, and they are not able to concentrate. The parents do report that, doctor, last 2 years he was very good grades. Now I see since this breathing problem has started, his grades have started falling. This is related to inability to focus, inability to concentrate. And also they report that recently they have started noting that he is bedwetting. So these combination of things, unable to focus, unable to learn, hyperactivity, inattention, and bedwetting are sometimes the consequences of sleep related disorders. Few parents also report that doctor is really not eating well. And on the contrary, few group of children, we see that of recently when he started having this type of breathing, he is eating too much and recently started putting on weight. So both anorexia as well as excess eating can also be the implications. So whenever they come with this cluster of symptoms and daytime symptoms, as Dr. Ravi mentioned, we also investigate. The modality of investigation in children is slightly different. In children, the common causes of sleep disordered breathing is actually enlargement of the organs in our mouth, which we call adenoids and tonsils. They are a tissue which are there in our throat. They are actually occupying a space which is in the breathing tube. Whenever these organs are enlarged, they tend to block the breathing tube and cause difficulty in breathing, snoring, and all these symptoms. So we investigate by doing an X-ray of the neck to see if these glands are enlarged. Similarly, as Dr. Ravi mentioned, we do a specialized sleep study called polysomnography, which includes just admission in our sleep laboratory for one night, and we monitor how effectively the sleep is taking place, the architecture of sleep, the rhythm of non-REM cycle versus REM cycle. What Dr. Ravi alluded to, is it synchronously taking place, and what is the effect of this breathing obstruction on breathing, oxygen level, heart rate, and the tension in the muscle, eye movement. From that, we classify whether it is a mild, which is managed by some medications, or severe. In children, we manage them by removing these glands, adenoids, and tonsils. And parents come to me and say, doctor, this is really gratifying. All my children's symptoms of nighttime problems, daytime symptoms have significantly improved after this simple operation. Small number of children who have had problems like Down syndrome, musculoskeletal syndrome, genetic syndrome, we support them with a simple machine called CPAP. It's a very simple machine. You just put onto the face, put the machine on, and it helps the baby to breathe easily. Again, there is a significant improvement in their daytime activity, ability to focus. Their sleep is much smoother. So these are the impact, and this is how we evaluate and manage them. Thank you.
Sir. So, sir, now that you have enlightened how much sleep is important for a person, now everyone would like to know how to improve the quality of their sleep. What can they do to improve the sleep duration, hours, and how can they get better?
Absolutely. This is a very important question, and it's one of the most ignored areas of our day-to-day life. The most common problems that we see in our OPD every day, I can somehow zero these down to some disturbance in what we call our circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is nothing but our biological clock. We are literally animals, and therefore we are designed to live by the light and sleep by the darkness. With the changing way of life, with modernization, with urbanization, with the way our new work schedules are designed, we have become less reliant on the circadian rhythm and more reliant on artificial rhythms that we are creating for ourselves. The most common problems that I see often have to do with people telling me, I am working from home, I am working at nights, I have to take calls from abroad in the middle of the night. My schedule starts at 3 in the afternoon and goes on till 2 in the morning or 11 in the night, and so on. The simplest thing that we can do, and this is easier said than done, I accept it, we all accept it. This is easier said than done. The simplest thing we can do is to try to schedule ourselves to train our circadian rhythm with the biological clock of the place that we live. This is unfortunately not possible for everyone given their profession. Therefore, we can, with a little understanding of their day-to-day life, help design a better schedule for them, which will help them sleep better. The second most important thing is, like I've just mentioned, because our circadian rhythm is so dependent on light, we should understand that light has the potential to disturb our sleep. Therefore, at a time when you're supposed to be sleeping, if you expose yourself to a personal electronic device, be it a phone, be it a laptop, be it a computer screen, which emits a bright light of, say, a certain wavelength or a frequency, and let us say that this bright light fools your brain into thinking that it is daytime and it is not night, then the brain will stop processing that it is night. It is going to stop secreting those hormones which will help you sleep. And because we are animals, it will secrete those hormones which will make us hungry and force us to hunt our food. This is why we very often see that in these individuals who have these altered circadian rhythms, there is often this problem of going down to the kitchen in the middle of the night, opening the refrigerator, finding a munch, etc. Metabolism is disturbed, weight gain occurs. Weight gain causes further worsening of the sleep cycle because it worsens the obstruction during breathing, and this becomes a vicious cycle. Therefore, pay attention to your schedules. Have a good scheduled sleep. Once it's lights out, it's lights out. Do not resort to any personal electronic devices. And during the daytime, expose yourself to good amount of natural sunlight. And this is the best thing that we can do. Enforcing this on our children, as Sir is going to highlight, is the most important thing that we can do.
Yes, sir. So now I would like to ask you that how can parents reinforce the fact that kids have a proper sleep hygiene?
Yeah, sleep hygiene is extremely crucially important, as very beautifully explained how biochemically we human beings are actually aligned for this sleep-wake cycle and biological clock. And it is much more important in children, because children, most physiological activities happen during sleep. What do I mean by physiological activity? The growth hormone secretion, the rest of the brain, and the growth, therefore, because of growth hormone, are maximally happening in the night time. So, good sound sleep is essential. Coming to sleep hygiene and how parents can make sure, as mentioned, we should maintain a very strict sleep hygiene, which includes strict time about when the child goes to bed, at least an hour before all electronic devices, including TV, handset, phone, should be switched off, and parents should make sure that child goes to bed almost at the same time, at the same place. then they do not carry their devices with them. The current problem among a lot of adolescents is they just go to bed within 5 minutes. Whenever the WhatsApp message is there, they suddenly go to that and they're absorbed in that, and their sleep rhythm is, biological clock is altered. We should train the parents as well as our children to follow this strictly, and then slowly our biological clock will be established. All sleep related problems slowly tend to improve.
Thank you, sir. So now, having known that the sleep related disorders can exist both in adults and children, suppose if anybody notices that they are having their problems like this, whom are they supposed to contact, sir?
Right. So the first step is to recognize that there is a problem. And what we discussed in the past 20 minutes or 30 minutes is actually that highlights how you as individuals can recognize that there is an underlying problem. There is no need to panic, because investing in sleep is like investing on a long-term future. Okay, so we will encourage you to do that now. Please invest in your sleep. If you're noticing that there is a problem in your sleep, please contact a good local physician, a local pulmonologist, a local pediatrician, as the case may be, if you notice a problem with yourselves or your children. The first step, like I told you before, is history. Just tell them what the problem you think is and let them analyze your sleep pattern. And you can do that by yourself. You can analyze your own sleep pattern and you can decide whether your sleep pattern seems to be normal or altered and whether you require help. There are some symptoms where you should contact an expert in the area. Snoring. If you are observing that during sleep there appears to be a cessation of breathing, the breathing appears to stop either for yourself or for your bed partner. If you are observing that someone is waking up and yet not feeling rested and fresh, they are feeling extremely tired and want to sleep for longer and there is never a fulfillment of the requirement of sleep. Someone dozes off excessively during the daytime. Someone nods off to sleep while driving. These are not merely abnormal symptoms, but these are also symptoms which can be dangerous. Imagine nodding off while you're driving on a highway. How dangerous can that be for yourself as well as for your family? Please seek help. Help is always available near you. All you have to do is to contact your local family physician, pulmonologist, or a pediatrician.
Thank you, sir. So, I would like to extend my regards and thanks to our experts, Dr. Ravichandra sir and Dr. Anil Sapare sir, for enlightening the importance of sleep and its effect on the health in both adult and the pediatric population, which is very essential. We at Narayana Health City have a dedicated team of pulmonologists and sleep physicians who are expertised in the field at diagnosing the sleep-related disorders, and we have a state-of-art sleep lab which is well designed for the evaluation and for the treatment. So,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Thank you.